And we even have some potential future speakers among us here, I'm sure. Later on, we'll be doing some quick announcements, and we're always looking for more volunteers, so if you're interested, please let me know at the end. So to give a very brief intro to our speaker today, Mihran. Born in Paris, educated there as well, and got his first taste of business in Europe. Then decided to take on the frontier, got a MBA in New York, and then after some time in China, doing a trading company like many of us did our start, he decided to get a better feel for local markets. So he got an EMBA at Beida, went into software, did a great company called Diem Boom that we'll talk about, and now is taking on the big European brand market in China. So, Mihran, without further ado, please give him a welcome. Mihran is a little bit under the weather today, like this crappy weather will do to us. So, Mike's all yours, man.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. I don't have any pretension to teach anybody anything. I'm just here to share my experience. Basically, I've been in Shenzhen for 7 years. I've been in business for 10 years, and I think that for whoever is jumping into business, it's always cool to talk to entrepreneurs, to people who've been through through tough roads, the do's and the don'ts. This is quite important to share between us. So I'll be very happy to answer any questions for that.
Why don't we start from the beginning? Why don't you tell us about how you grew up, what your parents did, and what kind of got you started in Europe?
Well, I'm what we call in Chinese Fuardai, which is what's the translation for that? It's basically my family. They were all doing business. So I had this entrepreneur passion since the beginning. My father, my uncles, my grandparents, everybody. I'm originally Armenian, so we've been migrating a lot. And wherever we've been settling down, we've basically been setting up companies. So my first company, I created that 10 years ago. I was basically 20. I was in the digital signage industry. Digital signage, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, it's basically in-store, where you basically put plasma, like LCD screen, well at that time it was plasma screen, into stores. And then you basically broadcast content, like advertising content into the stores. Now you have a lot, the biggest company trying to make focused media. So you see in the elevators, you have all these screens, and they're basically broadcasting advertisement. So we were doing that for stores back in France, Spain, and Belgium. That's where I started.
What got you into that to start? What, a small opportunity, or just have connections in the field? How did you get that initial spark going?
Well, I was just like a college student. We studied up in a video association, and then basically from video we realized that only video is not rich enough. It's not a rich content enough to broadcast to people. So how digital signage comes is basically onto one screen. You don't have only video. You have part of the screen that is video. Part of it is advertisement. You have a rolling text. You have a flash animation. You have basically very rich content that basically becomes to be that store. Let's say if it's if it's a Euro car, a rental company that was a customer of us, they have couple of stores throughout the country, and they'll be able to push content throughout all their stores. Automatically from our servers, so we were pushing content. So we're basically building their Europcar TV network. So I didn't have any, we just started as a video association, and then we just turned out to be pretty decent actor in the sector of digital signage.
You started as a company. We're working on the battery. It's in the works. But did you get it started basically, here's my team, these people are doing what I'm doing, or they're interested in the same thing, and you found an opportunity? Or I guess it's really about that first little spark of something and then making it a business, which I think I'm trying to dig in on here. What was the catalyst point between here's something we care about, here's something we're doing already, here's a team of people, and suddenly we're making money. There's a big jump there. So what was that jump?
Well, that's an interesting question, but I can recall at that time, even though it was a successful exit, I can recall at that time many mistakes. When you're 20 and you're trying to set up a company and to run a company, especially in a country like, I mean, in a geographic area like Europe, where everything is rigid, like very, like they're very narrow-minded and very tough. And so it was basically, I went into a show and I met with professionals in the software industry, in the hardware industry. So we quickly built partnerships, and then that motivated me even faster. But I mean, nothing beyond that.
Okay. So connecting, I guess. So you have the hardware guy, you have the software guy. What was your role in that venture?
My role in the venture was first the sales, because I basically set up the offer, the commercial offer. So this is what I like to do. To build business models, like viable business model, and to pitch them over. And then on the technical aspect, I have basically, I'm in the IT since I'm 15. I started to assemble computers and to work on that. And so, like on the technical background, all the infrastructure networks, all the VPN, all the there was very interesting technical infrastructure behind this. But yeah, mainly technical commercial.
And so this is a really personally interesting question. This gift of the hustle, right? Is that something that you feel like, this comes naturally to me, or do you feel like there were some things that you gradually improved that you kind of learned on the job? The actual selling and pitching of an idea. Is there any secrets to that? What's like your secret sauce in that?
Oh, there is no secret sauce. I think if you're a hard worker, there is no way you don't get there. I was supposed to be a student at that time. The more this company was going on, the less I was going to class, basically, and I just really did not find any of this course interesting. At the time when you get into the real world and then you understand, something simple, that like having a meeting with like 3-4 of your guys, 4 or 5 of like customer guys, like you're 9-10 around the table, you're doing a presentation, they're going like very deep into technical questions, into financial questions. It's just so interesting that you don't want to go back to class and to listen to each other and to take notes. So basically it's a lot of learning on the field right there, but I wouldn't say there is a particular secret sauce. I think the earlier you start, the better. It's like a kid starting a language. You'll have much more facility when as a newborn than learning the language afterwards, right?
Now, in a boardroom with people that are, kind of managing $1 million accounts, they have huge stores, they want advertising. Did you ever have difficulty being taken seriously as a young guy, even with a team behind you?
Yes. Even though I was trying to put my suit on and my tie and everything, for all the meetings, I had to have these partners, like the older guys, above the 35, 40, 45, to be with me. Otherwise, those deals just cannot be closed. So I quickly partnered with this company group, Infodis, who basically bought us after they basically acquired us after a couple of years, after 2 years actually. So you need the big guys in the back. That's for credibility, very important.
So we're kind of heading out of this particular business exit here. So when you actually, built this business out, you said it was a successful exit. You want to tell us a bit about what that was like, actually getting acquired or sold out?
Well, it was for me a personal successful exit, selling $250,000 when you're 22. It's something very exciting. So it was basically what we sold was basically the customer we had. We had one major customer in Spain, major customer in Belgium, and then 2 in France. So we had all over probably about, I would say 60, 70 screens 70 screens in different places, plus the team, plus the techno and all that. So packaged all together, that's the price we came up with. But eventually I took all my money and I spent it in the US chapter.
Is that a place to put your money though? What was the feeling like? Like, you know, we talked about the money, but what was, you know, exciting, terrifying? You know, you're making a huge shift of the business that you put in 2 years of your work into, you said? So, you know, that's your baby going out to the world. What is the feelings associated with that?
What I think the most important thing, I mean, I like money. I'm sure you guys will like money. Money is very important, but money, money has no feeling. What's important about money that it gives you freedom, it gives you liberty to do whatever you wish you could do. It's kind of brought me that feeling a little bit. Oh yeah, I can buy many things, even though it's not a lot of money. But for 22, it's like, you know, it's the first shot. It's important, and eventually you start, you know, hanging out with. I mean, your social circle starts to reshape a little bit, but the most important is always to keep your head on your shoulders. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I'm not a very rich person here, but what I'm saying is that you all have ups and downs in your entrepreneurial life. Always keep your heads here. Don't fly. It's that won't help.
So to finally nail this humble modesty home, what was the first thing you did once you got that freedom? Was it something you bought? Was it a trip you took? Was it I spent more time with friends? What was that first thing you did with your new freedom?
No, I went to New York and I basically paid for an MBA because I thought that was the right thing to do. Honestly, if I had to redo that, well, no regrets. I loved the year I spent in New York, St. John's University. We had a great time. We also made some businesses there, but I think I would have come to China directly. 2004, 2005, I would have come to China directly with this money if I could. I mean, if I knew how was China, I've never come before 2006, before October 2006. If I knew how was China, let's say even in 2000, I would have, I mean, the earlier, the better. So, but I didn't know anything particular with the money other than paying for super fucking expensive class, MBA class in the US, because that's how it is there, right?
You can't buy your way to success, I guess. But, you know, transitioning from Europe to New York, what was some of the biggest changes you felt? You know, it's not just a different place, a different culture, things moving real fast. Maybe, you know, what was the culture of business like? And why New York in the first place?
Half of my family live in the US. I'm not a native American, I think you can tell by my accent. But I know that somehow home is the US for me. I know I'm going to move back there like one day. My family is there, everybody is there, so I wanted to start there. I had also my girlfriend there at that time. So no, that was I thought that was the best place to have an MBA in the world at that time. That was New York, because and it's actually proven when I came first to China, that was 7 years ago. People are asking, "Oh, you have an MBA from New York? Wow!" It's like it looks like it's a big deal, but it is the same than having an MBA from Beijing, guys. I mean, don't think that it's a special treat to have an MBA from the US. I mean, personally, it's just it's true that they're really great school. They're great teachers. But I mean, all in all, it's the person. It's not whatever you buy as diploma.
This is definitely something that, especially some of the younger ones among us, are considering. You know, you mentioned that early the better, right? To get things started, to get into business, to, you know, make your mistakes early. What about that MBA? You know, is that even something that we should be considering now with your perspective? You wouldn't change anything, but what would you say you gained from taking that time in New York?
Well, I gained another not home base, but I mean another way of doing business. We did some I mean, we also set up, there was not a legal company, there was not a legal setup, but we basically built a website where we sold bikes, something that sounds ridiculous. But in the state of New York, you couldn't, the tax to buy a bicycle were much higher than in the states of New Jersey. So I basically took a 40-foot truck. I went to New Jersey Walmart. I filled it up with a lot of bikes. We had a website up and running, and we sold all the bikes in a week time. We just make, like, that was $15,000, not much, but it paid me a road trip. Then we made a road trip from New York to Los Angeles, driving for 2 weeks. This is the liberty that I'm talking about. This is the freedom I'm talking about. This is what I like to buy. Not a Ferrari. This is not money, well, especially with $16,000. But I mean, this is the type of liberty I'm talking about. No, yeah, I would say the MBA, it somehow, if I can put it this way, the MBA would give one a structure on how to present things, and eventually, because they ask you to do a lot of reports, they ask you to do a lot of presentation, do a lot of pitch and stuff like this. So eventually, and to do also group working, right? So you start learning, it's kind of startup weekend or startup, you start to create small teams and to basically work on a similar project and then to present it out. Probably on that side it helped.
It's definitely valuable. Startup weekend's a little cheaper than MBA in New York, but you still gotta learn, right? And at least there you invested in. So going from New York, were you there for long, or started a company there doing bikes, and then was the transition to China immediately after that?
Yeah.
Now, that shift there from culture of Europe to culture of New York, what was that like? And then what was the click in your mind that was like, okay, China's next?
Well, we've been, Europe is basically dead, and has been dead for already probably decades. So, yeah, I'm European too, but so we've been hearing about China. I mean, guys, seriously, this is something our teachers are telling us back in France, in Poland, and in everywhere. China is the next, most powerful nation on earth, and they keep repeating this. So you're like, all right, this is the place for ambitious people to go. So eventually, I'll most probably end up there doing something one day. So China was for sure the target. Why did I leave New York? Very simple reason. I had to wait 6 months to get my H-1B, my working visa. I didn't want to wait 6 months, so I just basically bought the one-way to China. Yeah.
What was the feeling? What was the logistics? Yeah, you're pressured out of the country, but what is it, an exciting time? Is it a scary time? Is it like, okay, I'm starting another adventure from scratch? What did you have in China to help you out to get started too?
I think what's important, even though things could sound like a failure, to turn them into a very positive way to be able to move forward. So I had the classmate with me at that time. He was down. He was like, oh shit, working visa, oh my God. He was like crying there. I'm like, dude, this is great. This is an opportunity. Let's move. Let's turn the page. Let's just go to China. And in China, I had the opportunity to have my uncles in Ishiko, actually, right there. They were in Ishiko 20 years ago doing garment business between China and Los Angeles. So I had a crashing place where I could actually stay the first year and learn Chinese. So that's how I ended up in 2016.
So that's definitely a huge, still right now, a bit of a barrier to entry. That you can understand the culture, at some reasonable small level, but then learning the Chinese is something that, whatever anyone tells you in school, yeah, go to China, and then it's like, oh, but there's that language thing to get over. Especially in America, you got people that speak one language for life. It's a hard pitch. So, how easy was that for you to actually get into the culture and into the language?
Well, often people ask, like Chinese people are asking me, is it hard to learn Chinese? Of course it's very hard, it just requires a lot of work. I think for Westerners to be be able to learn Chinese. It will never come just like this, just by living here in the country. You have many examples of Westerners that have been in China for 20, 30 years that just cannot speak Chinese. It's so different.
80 bar.
What's that?
80 bar.
Yeah. It's so much different that it requires a lot of work and a lot of like mental discipline to actually get into it. So I basically, for literally 1 year, I woke up at 5:30, like 5:30 every morning, and I started to write characters on my own. I thought that was the way to learn. Then I had a teacher coming over from 8 to 10, so 2 hours, and then I was doing another hour. But basically, I was doing 5 hours a day for a year time to be able to basically communicate with somebody in Chinese, to have a conversational, to understand what you are doing, what am I doing in there, in interaction. That was basically the level after a year of hard work.
So you put a year in, you're studying damn hard. Probably there was some financial research that went into that too. How important was that? What doors that opened for you? What opportunities that create to have the language in your back pocket? And what kind of connections does that allow you to make?
I mean, it's very simple. If you're in China, you don't know Chinese, just go back. I mean, it's that simple, guys. It will open so many doors. It will. I mean, yes, it's not necessarily easy for everybody to learn a new language, depending on the age that you come to China. It's probably harder to people that are 40 and up than I was 20, 25, 24. It just helped a lot in any meeting, any like connection wise. Just the networking just opens up so wide, and I think there are a lot of foreigners that are saying, "Oh, I don't need Chinese. I'm okay. I have all my staff. I have everything." Yes, but at the end, you're at the mercy of somebody who's translating. You're at the mercy of this person who will eventually take over more and more responsibilities, who will not necessarily translate with the tone that you wish he would translate, because you probably all know how the translation goes. She starts to translate whatever you're saying, but always her own way, and then eventually they start to go one by one conversation. You're just kicked out. You just don't understand what's going on. So you cannot be at the mercy of translators, especially in the culture like China, where words, how you put the words, like behind each other. This is so important. How you want to turn a sentence, how you want to express a feeling, how you look at the gesture and everything. To me, it's so important that you cannot leave this task to somebody else in between. So it's really, really helpful.
It really does sound like something huge. I think for the greater part of us, everyone here is either fluent or learning. So for that. There's a little saying that goes that if you're trying to persuade someone and you say their language, it's twice persuasive, or even just their name. Now, so getting in here, doing the Chinese, getting a better grasp of the culture, what were the next steps you took after you started learning Chinese? Did you start going into business now that you have a way to communicate, and what did you do if that was the case?
Well, I arrived October 2006. November, I went to Hong Kong to open a company, just like this regular company called StreamTease International, just to have a company, just to say that, oh yeah, I opened a company in China, that's what I came for. Didn't do anything until March, so 4 months after. But so I was learning on one side and then trying to think what I was going to do in China on the other side. So that was still taking a couple of hours of my day to understand. I really wanted to go on the local market. This is basically why first I came first to China. I was I think it's like every foreigner here. Oh, I want a piece of the local market. Oh, if I can get 1 renminbi out of 1.5 billion Chinese, oh, that'll make me rich. But anyway, so I wanted to start on local market, but eventually with no connection. You guys all know, especially Chinese people, know how connection is important. The connection, no knowledge of the culture, of the language whatsoever, nothing. I couldn't start on the local market first, so I had to start like every foreigners, most of the foreigners, doing trading. So I started the first 2 years doing a basic trading company. Nothing exciting about this, nothing interesting. Like, I mean, if you want me to share that, I could, but there is nothing of, trade. You go, you source, you find factories, you go, you do quality control, check, logistic, you send, you get paid. I mean, the trading company.
So it's a job of checklists. So we can skip the checklist job. You got a little experience through that, would you say, or was it just kind of getting some money in?
You got some money in, not that much. I mean, not that I don't think we did great because I ran that company for 2 years. Then a partner of mine took over. He took 40% of the capital. Then and then my brother who came to China also took over another 2 years after. This company up to last year made $450,000 profit accumulated. So it's not. I mean, it's what it is. It's decent money, but over 6 years' time, you could probably do much more.
So what did you do?
During that trading company? Well, I still think I learned a lot through the trading company because going to factory is somehow understanding I would say the blue collar culture of China, and I think starting from there is important. Because you get somehow to go to countryside places that factories are really fucked up places. You cannot even imagine. I remember my first quality control, I went into a bus, sleeping in the bus for 14 hours, going there. I'm explaining there was a problem on these cars. We're doing deck cars for poker. And I'm explaining to the factory and the 100 worker that this got to be done this way. We have to erase. There was a mistake. A woman that was in Jiangsu province, really far anyway. That woman just put her pen down. She started shitting right there. I was amazed. No, seriously, this is the most amazing thing that happened to me. I was alone by myself. I was doing the order, the Alibaba. The chatting, basically one guy running a couple of orders, but I think it taught me a lot on understanding how Chinese are doing business, even on factory side.
So you came out of that, I guess, 2 years into it or 4 years into it? You came out and started doing something else?
Like 3 years.
And so what was the time in between the next step after? We know that you went to Beida for another piece of education, but where does that fall into the chronology here?
Well, 2007, 2010, that was basically what I did the trading. Then in between 2010, I did the Beijing EMBA, Beida. So about that chapter, I think it was interesting. Beida was interesting for networking, and I would say 50% networking, 20% learning, and another 30% face. To say that, oh, you have an EMBA on the top of an MBA, I mean the face, whatever.
So valuable?
Valuable. I still have. I'm still in touch with many people from there. So I think on that part is valuable. How much I learned from there, I don't know, because I was at the same time I was running my the Diem Boom project, the web startup.
Tell us about that.
Diem Boom. Diem Boom is a web startup that I started in 2010. Probably too early. That was a failure. It's a 3D shopping mall that was for China market. 3D shopping mall in the way that we were acting like a platform and giving all the other B2C e-commerce websites an API so they could plug their own websites, including all their product, their catalog, their prices, and everything. They could plug there into the 3D corner that we would give them. So everything could appear in 3D in our mall. And they would come to our mall and they would see all the 3D interface and enjoy all that. And when they will place the order, that would go directly to the e-commerce website. We'll take a commission in between. That was a huge project. I don't even know what I did that, but that was a huge project. Yeah, probably. I learned a lot. cost me $600,000 to learn. But no, I think that's where I learned the most actually. I think you learn more from failures than from success. So.
In that company, what was the, I guess, you could break it down real fast for us. What was the problem, what was the solution, and, what was like the revenue model? I got a little bit out of it there, but in the basis sense, how would you pitch this?
The idea of Diem Boom was to try to revolutionize the shopping concept by offering a 3D experience to shoppers. The problem is that we never got to do a 3D appealing enough so that people they just give up on the other website to only come on ours. The idea was basically acting like a platform. Revenue model was basically to take a commission on the sales from the vendors, from vendor side of course, and also to take a rent from the 3D stores that we were up. First year, of course, we didn't charge any. We actually never got to charge any rent, but we got to generate some traffic. The problem is that to start a project like this, I would say that the 3D, when we started it was probably too early. Technology-wise, it was just too early. I betted on the fact that when we're going to start, we're actually going to improve the 3D, so we actually can get there to the level where users feel that, all right, this is where I want to keep on shopping. But as a matter of fact, on the stats, we were just seeing that users were just coming once and just to experience on that, because that was a great first experience, but their returning rate was, below 1%. That was a disaster. So working on this 3D required a lot of engineering. That we had a team of 25. Out of the 25, we were 12 engineers, basically 12 engineers, 10 marketers, and 3, whatever, assistant from this, okay. And the cost became huge when you're, it's not merchandisers that when you're doing trading companies, it's not like merchandiser that you can get for 3,000-4,000 or maybe a month. The engineers we're hiring were, first of all, very hard to find. We got to 20,000 RMB was probably the biggest salary for 25. I had one at 25 that didn't stay long. The 20,000 RMB was the 15 to 20,000 for the engineers. My CTO is now that I'm still in a very good term with. He's the director of the 51 by Tencent. So on the engineering part, of course. So we have those guys literally cost money. So when you keep on investing for 2 years, 2.5 years on that, we raised angel money.
Tell us about how much you want to say about that.
Angel money, we got 2 rounds. 1 round were friends and family. That was 250,000. The 250,000 the first round. Then they topped up plus another angel from Singapore. They came in totaling 600,000. So that was the total investment of this startup.
So we got to hear about the finances, the team, the logistics of actually running this damn thing. But you're seeing this go from I built this thing, I've got this idea, it seems exciting, I'm passionate about this. The team is behind you, you're putting a lot of money into it, and there's all these milestones that are successes. What are your emotional roller coaster ride of this thing on your side? How did you handle this on the personal end? From start to eventual exit, I guess.
I think it's the most, even though it's a failure, it's the company where I got the most feelings, because that was really running like a real startup. Everybody thinking everybody going on the same path, and everybody thinking big, and everybody really, really together. We were a really tight team. hanging out on weekends, doing like working until like 2 o'clock in the morning. You had these like 15 people working until 2 o'clock in the morning for 2 weeks time in a row. People were just like on the knees, but so we had that culture, and that's hard to build. To build an enterprise culture, I think this helps a lot to get things going on. We had also interesting things that we had 23,000 products out of 12 vendors that were linked to our mall. So continuously our API were just catching all these products. We had like a couple of figures that made us believe that we did something, but eventually never made money. So we didn't do anything. That was a failure, and a very interesting failure. But there was still nobody got his money back. And up to today, I put all the servers down because I don't have money to pay the servers anymore. But we still have a lot of code.
But what's in your head when this is all happening? You got people that invested 600 grand in this, friends and family.
Friends and family, investors from Singapore. You've got business partners that are sort of on the back end, and a team of 25 that was breaking their backs. So how do you handle the stress of, where do we go next?
That's an interesting question because I think it goes to values. How do you feel towards somebody who you owe money with? I think investing, if you're an investor, you're basically taking a big risk. Alright, you're taking a risk. This guy will owe you money. He owes you eventually to work on that, to commit on that, and eventually for you to have a return and more. But the thing is that towards angels who invested in that, I have a personal, these probably values that have been taught since my youth, but I have a personal commitment that I would basically pay them back. I don't want somehow throughout the projects that are web-related projects that I would do in China. I'll pay these guys back for sure. That's how I feel.
So that's very, very, very good. Yeah. Now you said the next project. So Diem Boom on the back burner. What was the project following?
Project following is basically with Diem Boom I realized something, and I think this is very important for foreigners also in China coming. You gotta think, what is your value adding when you come to China? I had a lot of, when I was doing my pitch, I pitched to about like 30 VCs, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and I had at least 5 to 6 people who asked me, but why do you do this first in China? Why don't you do that in the US so then we can copy you here? I'm like, okay, but it's a fair question when you think about it, because they like to work on proven model, and then it makes you understand that the question is, but why you, why? It's like when you are coming here in China and trying to do that, I mean, a Chinese guy, he will do it like 10 times better than you. And actually he's right. The guy is right. Why did I go in a project like this? Yes, we probably had techno, and 3D techno was the main engineer was a guy from Holland. Okay, fine. But at the end of the story, I think that the marketers would never be replaced. The marketing team gotta be Chinese. When you're going on the local market, don't expect to have foreigners understanding what's going on in Chinese mentality as deep as local would understand. Even marketers who they go to the US for a year or two to study, they come back, they're a little bit outdated. It still happens. So don't expect a foreigner to be on the marketing team. So on the marketing, you don't have any space. Will you have space on the engineering side? Yes, you might. So if you came to China to be an engineer, you could eventually have your space here. But I think they have enough talent who locally they have a lot of. There's still a lot of room So then comes the, okay, you're not an engineer, you're not a marketer, what are you? Oh, you're an entrepreneur, great. So unless you're super, super creative, and you have an extraordinary mindset that like nobody will think like creative ideas like you, then what would you bring to China, to a Chinese team to follow you, and to Chinese customers to pay you? So I came up with the idea that say that, okay, I'm a foreigner, I understand a bit the culture, both sides, fine. So let me basically bring, and this is my new project, we bring cosmetics from France, made in France cosmetics. So it makes it hard for Chinese to copy it, even though I'm sure it will be done. So made in France cosmetic, we focus on a very niche market that is organic. So organic, made in France brands, cosmetic brands that are not yet in China. They are not yet in China. We basically take the brand, we market it. We have a team of 10 people in Sheko. We market the brand, and we basically take the exclusivity distribution on China, and then we basically bring this brand over. So that's the place that I thought that I would have a considerable value. That's where I jumped in this new venture.
So let me just make sure I got it right. The kind of like big key differentiators are picking a niche, having something that they can't copy, and a brand or an idea like that. That's hard to do because there's so much behind that. And then being able to do it damn well. Is that kind of the formula? Is there something else to that we kind of lost on that?
Yes, I think that there is a shift going on with the companies here, with the American companies that are coming to China. Are they putting the top executive? Are they going to be Chinese, and then the secondary level Westerners, or the top is going to be Westerners with Chinese on the operational level? And I think that if you come up with very niche and brand and all that, then foreigner can be at the top and having operational done by Chinese. I think that would be the right formula. But if you come like a Groupon and you try to enter China, and you put four German guy at the top who don't understand China and will try to run Groupon in China, that would be a failure. So I think there is always it's not a defined pattern and a fixed pattern, but the management and the operational team might have the right mixture.
So we talked about past projects, present projects, but what else do you have going on in your life? It's actually a fun fact. We're going to bust your balls a little bit. Happy anniversary. The celebrated another lovely year with his wife. And how do you keep balance of all that? You got a lot going on. How do you kind of manage life on a day-to-day?
Thank you for the anniversary, which I love my wife. I think I would I'd never be there without her. She's been very supportive since day one. I'm not doing this because there is a camera recording us here.
It's all good.
But I think that this is what gave my right balance. I came to China 2 years. I was alone. So I had a lot of time to get around with a lot of girls, and that was really fun. That was great. But then after a while, when you're going into like you need a lot of concentration. I think you need a stability in your life, and you need to have the right balance between family and work. I basically told her that I'll be working as an entrepreneur. I'll be working my ass off for the next 5 years, and then I'll be yours. So that's pretty much what the deal was. So I could basically come home very late, have my weekends, still go beach, go meet people, do networking and stuff. It's I don't know. I think it's a personal question that everybody tries to manage. I don't know if there was a specific.
The kind of big question is,
How did you guys meet? She was already in China then, yeah? No. Okay. So I want to get to know how you guys met and what kind of person she is that she's down with this kind of pitch that, 5 years of do me and then, rest of my life.
You guys want to hear about my wife? No, we met, she's originally Armenian, I'm also Armenian originally. So we met into a touristical trip in Armenia one summer. Eventually we kept in touch. She was an Armenian from the US, and I was an Armenian from France. And when I went to the US, I also got to be with her. When I come to China, we were having long distance for 2 years. So basically it took me 2 years to convince her to move over to China. So 2 years, and then five years we were together here in China with the son. And I think I don't know how girls feel about China and about moving to China if you moved on your own, for example. I think you're the only foreigner woman in the room, right? But I think for American people, for American girls, China, without being a businessman, without having any passion or any ambition about business, is something they would say like, well, it's horrible. I would never move there. It's crazy. It's all cliche. It's all, but know what's going on. But eventually it happens that when people move here, they sort of start to like it, because when you have when you can pay for comfort, I think China is a great place to live for a foreigner. And at the end of the year, if you got to be if you got to go on a couple of weekends or a couple of weeks, holidays here and there, I think you can have a right balance. So she didn't think that she could move to China, but she's been 5 years she's here, and I don't think she wants to move back.
So you're set up pretty well, Malik. You've got a business that kind of seems to be doing well for itself. What are some of the future goals you're still wanting to hit? And what do you kind of want to do in the next few years? Where do you see China in that whole grand scheme of things?
I'll probably spend the next couple of years more, because I've been away too long. It's been 7 years. I probably went back not even once a year, and I think that you need to freshen up your mind a little bit, and to basically to be able to bring more ideas, like new ideas over. So I'll probably spend the next year more outside China than inside China, so I can understand better the evolution in Europe and the US. But I'll for sure on the long run, I'll have a team here working on the local market. We're already doing stores on Taobao. This is something I don't talk about because nothing special. We opened, I don't know how it's called in English, 旗舰店. So we opened a flagship store. We open flagship stores on Taobao for brands. It's cash. It's nice. It's nothing special, nothing new. But it's going on, and it's bringing brands on the local market. So it's cool stuff to do on the top of cosmetics things. But yeah, local market. This is something that I love. Just by seeing that you have a market that is that big, but how to get it? How to get to that market? How to reach even a part of, like a quarter, like a tenth of this market? This is so. I think the greater the challenge, the more interesting is the business.
Cheers to that. I think at this point we've kind of gotten the great juicy bits. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we pass it around for some questions?
Well, I didn't talk about one business that I did last year. Nothing to do with web and all that. I set up a factory in Bawan. We have 150 workers, and that was just doing breathalyzers. So you can control your alcohol rates. We just set up that because we had a new law by the French government making mandatory all the cars in France to carry one of those breathalyzers. So the demand was huge. So I just basically took the opportunity to open this factory. I just want to say that, I mean, in China it looks like everything is possible, from trading to open your own factory, go on the web, and I think if you have the conviction, the passion, I think you can get there. We're open for questions, guys.
Yeah, cheers. Any questions for, yeah, please?
My name is Johnson. My next presentation. I guess I heard that you have some experience in raising capital in China. So I guess for Diem Boom, but in the end, you actually went through Singapore to get second round. So my question would be, what was the experience when you approached those investors in China, and generally what was the comment on the investment environment in China?
You want to have a little a summarize of all the pitch that I've done to the Chinese, like how they feel about that. I think it's pretty compared to the US or to Europe. I think it's pretty tricky because when you're approaching a VC, you come like you're nothing. That's first. Then you know at some point that when they got a little bit of interest in your company, and this sort of stimulate the fact that they're going to start the due diligence. And when you go into DD and you realize that the DD is on one side only, when an investor want to get in my venture, I would like also to know about him. I would like also to have my own due diligence over this person, right? Who are you? Why are you putting money in my company? What can you bring? And it happens actually a couple of times that they are trying to suck information out without giving anything, because they're like, no guys, I have the money. I'm the king here, so just answer my questions. And because basically you have many VCs that have the power to basically rebuild any idea with the lightning speed. So I think that many VCs have this approach to go and talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and to understand, the fresh idea and what can be done, so they can actually do it themselves if they don't need that entrepreneur. That's one thing I would retain, but I would not. I personally don't have the pretension to have a lot of experience in that, because I've never raised capital from venture capitalists here. So, but doing all that meetings, that's what I felt.
So, have you had any issues with IP? People infringing your intellectual property, copying the idea that you've had, and how have you so far protected yourself from that?
Yes, I've done tons of meetings with lawyers, IP lawyers. At the end, they were all useless. Not the lawyers, the meetings. No, because it didn't bring anything that I could protect. I could be very. I think in China, focusing on IP is something that, I mean, you would turn it like different ways, but at the end, just get shit done. Just go and focus on your work and try to be faster than the others. So other than the trademark and regular stuff, I did not protect any technology or don't have any patent, no. But I looked a lot into that regard. Time comes. Hey, Ian, will you give me the...
One right there. You got your bag, it's over right there. Oh, cool.
Hi, just a quick question about the role of partnerships. How did you leverage partnerships with local people? Like when you opened up the factory, was it just you, or I imagine there was a fair amount of local resources that you leveraged as well? Can you just talk a bit about that?
Yes, I think that doing business in China, having a local partner is a must-have, and had a partner for my factory. I had a partner for my startups. The partner, like the one with my factory, that was basically the first Chinese friend, if I can call him a friend. But no, he's a friend at the time. He was a Chinese that I met through the trading. So I knew him for before opening the factory, since basically the first year I came to China. So we kept a good relationship together. I opened the local company. You know that foreigners doing web, they need an ICP license. So that was the guy, that was the legal rep of the company. So he just gave me all the chops and all the stamps and all the banking and all that. So I was running the company under his name. And eventually it happened that we had this factory thing, and I was like, let's do this. And yeah, but I think that this in every meeting, or like everything that you do, I think having the right partner is the trickiest thing, because meeting somebody once and setting up a primer business relationship is something, but working on a day-to-day basis with the Chinese that you not necessarily know very well is something else. And I think you can learn a lot through the more meetings you do, then you understand like how to analyze people at first sight. So then you're more able to build partners. I mean, to say this person is a potential partner for the long term or not. I don't know if that answered the question. Yeah.
A more specific question, because question about the cosmetic business. I also wanted to know that is it like a self-owned individual brand, or you just get the lessons from some large corporations? Because one of my friends is in cosmetic business. I think he might be very interested in your brands.
Well, we have another company in France that have partners working on a brand that we are actually setting up ourselves. That's one. But the cosmetic thing is just licensing basically. Yeah. So we take just like 3-4 brands every year that we get into the market, and then look for distributors. So we can exchange on that for how long.
My name is Martin. I have one question about the ideas, the product ideas. How do you make the decision? Like, you check the news and I think, oh, this product is cool and this idea could I make? And then how do you validate that the idea could really work? Do you consult with brands or like, and then also about the factory you said you met. How long did it take to make it? Like, how do you make a decision for the product, and then if you really want to go for it, how long does it take?
Idea execution.
Yeah, I think the question is more like how long does it take from the idea to actually have this product executed, right? The factory was something very specific, because when the French government passed the law saying that every vehicle must carry a breathalyzer, the demand were huge. It was like 120 million pieces on the market, but there was no suppliers. So I basically gambled all my money in that factory, because I knew that there was demand. We had huge orders on that, but the factory took me, including R&D, because it's a chemical piece. It took me 4 months, and the fifth month, the idea is to have something working with the less amount of money. It means that from your idea, if you can have somebody just putting 1 renminbi on that, it will already prove that it's a potentially paying model on a bigger scale. So there is no necessarily a time that you should fix, as long as the costs are very much under control. As for the ideas, where you get them, yes, I read the news. I read probably about an hour or or two. I have, I don't know, about 100 feeds from, like tech rich vegetables. You have all that feeds. Then also the feeds in Chinese. Then the general news worldwide. Then the VC news. Then the other specific news. It takes me an hour or two a day. But I cannot say where the idea is coming up. But oh yes, yeah, you must go through that. No, I mean friends, of course, that would be a first stage. For me, that would be my wife, first stage. But then eventually it goes a little bit broader to friends and families, and then eventually we're gonna have a little mock-up, a working mock-up, so you can make a deeper market study on that to see if people are ready to pay or not. I mean, I think nothing insane in what I'm saying, right?
Let's do 3 more, we can. Yeah, back there. And 2 here. Wait, guys.
All right. So mine's a really quick one. I'm just, I was wondering with the 3D mall, how did you decide when it was time to pull the plug?
Yes, that what? When you pull the plug. When did you pull the plug?
When did you know that it was just not going to work?
Well, that's a good question because I decided that too late when I didn't have money anymore. So eventually you have to pull the plug. Well, here's the thing with the 3D mall. I started 3D mall with a great technology working on a very specific. First of all, there was Flash, and I was working on a specific. I mean, you had to have the latest version of browser installed, the latest version of Flash Player. Plus, it was also requiring a lot of graphic acceleration. So it made a very reduced amount of potential users using that mode. But when we started, we were like, okay, this is going to change over time. And then we bet. We just went on betting until we're like, all right, this model. I mean, if you don't, you could eventually do that if you hire like 200 people from the best company in China, and 100 being marketers from Taobao, and another 100 being a tech guy from Tencent, and probably you could do that done. You could have that done, but when you decide to pull the plug, well, on my side, that was a little bit late. I basically pulled the plug when that factory came up, so there was an opportunity to switch. But I think that on a more like general basis, you have to pull the plug when you start, like when you push products online. When you see that over 3 months time, there is nothing valuable, because I mean 3 months would potentially be enough for a VC to start doing, like if you have a certain growth. That would potentially be enough for a VC to start. Okay, I can do due diligence on you. So if you don't have any growth by a couple of months and you're short of money, just pull the plug.
What does pulling the plug mean in this company? What did it mean? Does that mean firing people for you? Did that mean withdrawing your capital entirely? What did that actually translate to on the ground? Like on that day when you made that decision, I'm switching my project, then what? What's the next day like?
Well, the point is that on the factory, we also raised a lot of money. I mean, we raised $1 million for the factory, so we had some operational cash that could not. I mean, I would say that I was not regarding at 50 or 100,000 RMB fees. But when you pull the plug, you gotta. It's very tricky because the office space, it costs so much. When you end up with 20,000, 30,000 RMB a month, our office was 35,000 RMB a month. You gotta get rid of that. If you get rid of that, what about people? What are you doing with 15 people, 20 people? We ended up over 20. So you're trying to get into the best terms with your employees. You're trying to find them or their deals. You're trying to explain them what's going on. Yes, some are they are getting fired right now. That's the hardest thing, is to control the cost when you pull the plug, because then many things can also happen and the cost can keep on increasing. People that are asking for, oh no, you owe me a 6 month salary, oh no, you owe me this, you owe me that. The servers, you have contract for another year running there. I mean, it's hard to control the cost when you actually want to completely pull the plug. So I wouldn't say there is one universal way to do that, but the most important, I think, is to be able to pay the team, because this is something that, like, you can owe people. I mean, rent, everything, okay, but the team, the salary to the team is very important, because you want to keep. First of all, you're not a thief, and then you want to keep good relationship with this person too. So I think this is the most important.
Two more.
Hi, actually, it's a continuation of the question John asked, and I'm interested to know. Thank you first for sharing your first story on the Diem Boom product. Because I'm currently working on a mobile internet product too, and I've raised a small amount of money, and I think I'm on a very similar track of your first start experience. I'm interested to know that what kind of metrics you pay attention to when you do a startup in your first project, and why didn't you notice any kind of bad trends after you raised your first round of funding, and what kind of data supports you to say that we want to raise a second round, but then you didn't realize there was risk in the future that cost you the whole startup to fail? And I want to know that what makes you think that you can succeed after you raise the first round? Thank you.
That's a good question, but I would answer a la Chinese with another question. What are you trying to do with the... So basically, like, you said you're raising money right now.
We're raising a small amount.
Okay, you're raising small amounts. And you basically want to avoid...
What do you mean through it?
okay. How could I answer to this question?
How do you assure success? Yeah, it's tough.
How do you conduct a financial feasibility?
What's that?
Like, how do you conduct your financial feasibility analysis once you're at that point?
Well, I would say that basically the question is what figures did you make on the financial statement? What made you raise the second round?
Sorry, actually I think it's more about the product. So, like, do you have a figure or metrics measuring how many customers coming back, how many clicks every day that is growing, that makes you think the product's going to grow eventually?
Well, we raised, so the first angel round we had was prior any like, we just started a couple of code lining with the 3D thing, but nothing on the back end, nothing. Then on the back end, when we started to develop that API, it's basically a unique API that I still didn't see nowadays. I didn't see it anyone coming with API where you can synchronize everything from your own e-commerce website, including the product, the big pictures, small pictures, the description, the prices, the customer service contact, and everything that goes from here to another website. Doesn't matter if that website is 3D or not. So we had 12 vendors linked. We had 23,000 products. Real time, synchronized in real time, and that was that pitch that made us raise the second round, basically. So we thought that was a fair track, like a track record, fair enough to be able to raise the second round. As a matter of fact, when we went on user side, because I was vendor side linking products. When you're a platform, you're at both sides, right? You have vendors on one side, user on the other side. This is something very, very tough. And this particularity of the China market is that the platform is fucking controlled by Alibaba. You cannot do anything about it. But that's it. Don't do a platform. That's, I don't know if you're on a platform track. Okay, don't do a platform.
Thank you. very much. We have one more, last one. Next round. Sure. Whatever you pick. We're in the last one.
You said MBA was not the best choice. So now, from time perspective, you have chance to go back to university, or what would people kind of course?
MBA, the EMBA in China was good for networking, so I would not redo that. The MBA in New York was not a good choice in terms of. There was a bad choice because I felt that I spent a lot of money for what I got in return. But I think that it brought me a cultural experience in the US. So I wouldn't redo that. What I would redo is eventually from my 15, like 15 or 18, let's say, after you get, from out of high school, to come directly to China. That would probably be a completely different story. Then forget about all the class, come here because this is the real school. This is the real class, this is where things are happening, and if you can learn by being screwed, $5,000 here, $10,000 here, container here and there, this is the best way to learn. Oh, your production is fucked, oh, let's redo it again, factory doesn't want to do it. I mean, this is the way to really learn. And I think learning this at the youngest age as possible is really, really helpful. Because also at that time, that was probably 15 years ago, when you were in China doing trading 15 years ago, you could potentially make 40, 50, even $100,000 on one container doing trading, right? Which you cannot now. It's impossible. If you do 3,000 to 5,000, it's great on one container. I'm talking. So on money-wise, that would have been much better to come earlier to China.
So when I got the message when running a little young, it was, oh man, I'm not doing so well. I got a fever. Like, let me try to get some water in me. And like, man, you're killing it. You're doing a really good job. Thank you for coming by. We really appreciate all the help.